Okay, so our next speaker is Yan Wu, and he's RT Thread's AI CTO with over 20 years of experience in the software development industry. And the topic of Yan's talk is from MCU to Superpower, an open source technology roadmap for RT Thread Edge AI. So with that, I will say over to you, Yan.
Okay, let me share my screen. Okay. Okay, let's start. I'm Wu from Artist team. So glad to have the chance to share you a little source about Edge AI and what we are doing to make these things happen. My topic will have three parts: an overview of our source and what we are doing and what we are planning. Okay, I have think over what is AI, the definition of AI, quite for a time. And recently I get a very interesting point. The whole evolution of our humankind is about looking for a better tool. At the beginning, we use stone to fight with other animals, and later we put those stone with a stick, so we get a spear, so we can hunting. And later we have long forks, so we can grow crops. Or oh, okay, sorry. It seems. Can you hear me or see me? Okay. Okay. So let's continue.
The minute, Yan, the screen is just totally white. We aren't seeing any slides. There we are. Well,
this one work?
That's working now, but when you share it, it's just going to a white screen. So are you sharing?
Okay, let me check the sharing. Okay.
If you're using the PowerPoint presentation mode, sometimes the main presentation comes up on a different screen, but you can go to the top and say swap the interface.
Let me check.
Could you hear me? Could you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. And
yeah,
can you see my screen now?
Screen rather than a specific application. You share the whole screen.
Okay, let me try share the whole screen. Okay, desktop.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought you were building the suspense with the white screen for a while.
Okay, thank you for reminding, and let's continue. Okay, fortunately, we did not miss any important thing yet. Okay, the whole evolution of our tools, we get into industry, and now we are in infotech. So the interesting point is we are always thinking about to let the tool to do some work which we believe only with human's wisdom it can be done. So this is not new thing. You can see on the screen in the middle of the top, there is a picture. It's a story recorded by a book. The author is Lie Yukou. He is a Taoist living in varying period of ancient China. Is about 2,500 years ago, and the story is about King Mu of Zhou Dynasty. It's about 5 years earlier. 500 years earlier. And when the king take a tour to the Kunlun mountain, there is a ancient engineer named Yan Shi present him a gift, which is an android. This android can dance and sing. After the show, the android just move on and to try to enjoy the queen. So the king got offended, so he want to kill Yan Shi. Yan Shi explained, this is not a man. This is just a machine. I can prove it. So he cut it open, and inside is just wood and leather, which cannot be a human, right? So he got no problem with the king. It's a very interesting ancient story, and the people conclude from the story that making a human is easy, making a heart is hard. That's very interesting point. And this story continues every period of the improvements of tools or technology. Today, when we talk about AI, I guess it's the top right image in your mind. At least it's in my mind. It's a really smart Android, can do everything we can do. And the point is, when the tool cannot do what we think it should be with wisdom of the human, we call it AI. In ancient history, they do not invent the word AI, but the idea is just the same. So when we make the tool a little better, and it can do something which previously only human can do, we no longer call it AI. We call it a down name, like machine. If the machine can work on itself, need no people to operate it, then we call it automation. If the machine with the automation can be told some order or instructions to behavior according to your mind, then we call it a computer or a machine controlled by computer, which we even better is a programmable device. That is the interesting point. Once we get real AI done, maybe it's no longer the AI. It is just another component in our toolbox. We, software engineers, can just pull that tool out of the toolbox and put it into our project. Just like today, you can add any library to do your job. So what kind of tools we can have in recent? Here is a landscape of how the AI is making a competence with human. The picture is a modified version of the same picture in book of Life 3.0, which is a great book. And the modification is because AI is improved so fast. When the book was written, Go game is still we think it cannot be conquered yet. But just in a few years, we all know today, no human player can fight with AlphaZero or same kind of programs, because today we are using deep learning. It is very interesting technology to make AI happens. If we have enough data and unlimited computing power, then everyone can have great improvement to create some model to build the capability to do great things. And it's called end-to-end training of AI. So all these things in the water, it means the AI is already better than we human. So there are most of daily things it is already can be done by the program, by the neural network. So we already have all these tools. We just need to put them into our device to make the information world move a step forward. Today, we have internet, connect everyone and support our activities. And a step further, a smart world, everything, the desk, the light, the door, the wall, everything is smart. And you no longer need to give instructions to let him do something. He will observe and act on its own. And before you even think about it, it is ready and done. That's a great word, right? And it is happening. Here are a few data collected from market informations. Edge AI is blooming. Okay, today, smart device is the majority in the number of computer shipments. And the AI is quickly moving to edge. Just a few years ago, we all talking about AI on the cloud, on the server side. Later, we think the mobile phone is powerful enough. The GPU, the specific accelerators inside the mobile phone helps things happen. And now we are put them everywhere in the edge devices. And this kind of edge devices, in estimation, we can get over the chipset sales in the cloud side in about 5 years, which is really great. And I believe it can be even faster if we work together to make it more useful and more easier. So the AI is good. AI is ready to go. How can we put them into our gears? Here is an overview of the work process. On the top is an overview of generic AI development. You get a problem and you analyze what kind of problem I have. It is a classification or just a regression, or we need to use some generative model. Then you have the keywords to search, and you will find something like a very good model we call state of the art, the SOTA model, or you just have something need improvement, or even less, just there are some paper without source code and you need to do it from beginning, or even less, that there are people have the same problem. They have prepared the data set but have no answer. You can start here. Or you have a bleeding edge problem and you have nothing. You need to do it from ground. Anyway, here you can reproduce the existing models, if any, to ensure they work as they advertised. So if you ensured it's enough, or you need to improve it, or you need to create a new one, then you need to collect data, make sure they are right and proper, and put the answer of your question with these data samples we call neighboring. And then you have a very good data set. You can start to work on your model. You can design, usually we will design a lot of model and let them to be trained one by one, then compare which one is better. Okay, once all models are trained, we can choose the best one, and then we put this model into our product. That's how you get an AI model. Most likely, we will use an existing one, not do everything from beginning, especially in industry applications. If you are learning, maybe you can do it from beginning. So product engineering, which means a lot of things. You will need domain knowledge of machine learning, so you can manipulate the model or even try to change it. Then we need to know how to put this model into our project. You need to be able to evaluate the resource. Is the memory big enough? Is the computing power strong enough to handle this model? If not, you can go back and try to improve your model. If it's okay, then we can convert the model into code. Usually, you cannot put a model trained on a PC or server side directly to your edge board. You need some kind of tool to convert it. Then we can put it on the system and evaluate the performance, including the rightness, latency, and the resource consumption, power consumption, or kind of performance. If it's good enough, then we can bind the I/O. For example, you need input from camera or voice data from the microphone, or even use ASR to reduce the noise. So this part, I think, is the expertise we already have. Most of people here, I guess, are software engineer, right? So this is our place. Implement the business logic, create a great product, and everything is done, right? But you need to know a little new tools which handle AI modeling, and this tool usually is provided by the chipset manufacturer. So how can we use these tools? Did I have to learn everyone's tool if we choose different chipset? That's a problem. There are over 30 AI chipset makers just in China. If we, because I do not have data of global, so I just use this data. I guess there are hundreds of them all over the world, and most of them provide you a toolset. This toolset usually designed by different philosophy. You can use it if you read a document and struggling a little with the converter and the library which running on your board. And if unfortunately you do not have that kind of thing, for example, if you use Raspberry Pi and official Raspberry Pi doesn't provide you those things, and if you use ArcThread on Raspberry Pi, there is no this kind of thing as well. So you cannot find it in BSP. Then you can look in the AI packages in ArcThread package repository. There are a lot of packages rated. But you need to understand how to enable it, how to call it, how to get the result, and how to feed the data to them. All kind of burdens you have to learn. So to enable and make it run is kind of easy indeed. But most likely things are not going smoothly. Struggling is our real life, right? If you have a problem like your model is integrated, but the board just get no response or just die, what happened? You need troubleshooting, and you need to go deeper into those tools or software packages. That will make the life a little hard. So the AI team in ArcThread tried to give this problem an answer. We created a tool named ArcAI, ArcAK, which is the abbreviate for AI kit. And I wish it is powerful and easy to use as the AK, the rifle, right? Okay, so how can it help? It includes two parts. The tool part, which running on your PC or server, if you choose. And another part is the lib, which run on your device. Each part has its own plugin structure. So if the vendor, the chipset manufacturers has provided their tools, we can simply wrap them and call them. If they missing any features like quantum your model or prune your model and you really need it, we can enhance it. If there is no this kind of thing, and we can use the plugin to create it from beginning. So that's tool. The tool usually just convert your .h5 or .pb file from the PyTorch or TensorFlow into a specific format, which is related to the target platform. And this tool understands how to put your model into ArtithThread project. This project is already set up with your board BSP and ArtithThread operating system. Then we know how to make our code work together with Sconce or ArtithThread Studio. You can use it in Studio already. And once all these things are done, the plugin in the lib part will encapsulate the inference engine vended by the manufacturing. If they do not provide, we can use open source ones. So far, we have not our own version, and we are planning it. Later, I will mention that again. So with this part, you just need to understand one command with quite some parameters, of course. Then you can get your model into your project and just compile it, put it on your board. Things are get done. We have created this tool for a while and tried to use it by ourselves and by other people's. It is quite easy to use and really handy. We tried with 2 days of training. College students with quite good embedding development skills, of course, they can do projects on screen in just 2-day hackathon. That is amazing. They are not so strong at AI. Most of them know quite a few of it, but with the tools help, and they can reuse some existing data set or model and use about 1 day to put them into work, get their own version of model, and next day they can create a project, get everything done. That's really amazing. They no longer need to struggling with everything. Okay. The deployment is easy with RAK, but it's not all. We all understand that. On the left part of screen, you can see the green part is so-called AI model deployment. I think AI AK is doing it quite good now. We need to add more plugins to support more platforms. That's since we need help. Everyone can contribute a plugin. We will write more plugin, but generally speaking, it is already there. You can use it. But you have the trouble to choose proper hardware to run your model, most likely. So we are trying to build more boards from our ArtithThread official team, right? And you can use that to start your work. That would be quite integrated well. But we can still build more plugins to support others' board and more chipset. And we are trying to create a database to collect AI performance data for different chipset and board, so you can use that to choose your solution. And also, we are building model zoo and more demos and sample solutions. They are ongoing. And I need your help to really make this part great, because the demo is so creative, and most of our team member working hard to make the tool beautiful, easy to use, and it's time for you. It's your show time to make a great demo or even a great product. So as mentioned, we already have some boards from MCU to The right side is ADAS SoC. We are creating a board for it. It can provide about 40 to 70 teraops. It is quite a supercomputer indeed. So Cortex M4 is Pandora, and a powerful STH7 MCU is ARPi. RISC-V MCU with accelerating module we call MPU is Jekyll, and the Raspberry Pi we are supporting it. And as I mentioned, we have a A1000 ADAS SoC board coming this year. Okay, most of people are familiar with ARM architecture and products, so I just mentioned a little about other tools. One is Jekyll, which is K210 based board. It is very proper for a small edge device. It consumes quite a few power, and it provides a good enough calculation power, which is about 1 TOPS. It can accelerate CNN quite good. And we provide a full set of course material for education organization. Indeed, it sells quite well in China. Okay. And of course, the BST A1000 SoC. It is very high AI power, and it has the ASLD ISO 26262 certification, which is ready to go for vehicle. Okay, let's have a simple glance about the capability we're building. Okay, that's just sneak peek of the box, and we believe once it is get done and on the shelf for sales, you can integrate capability easily to your solution. I'm quite excited to make it happen, and looking forward to see what you can create with this superpower. Okay, that's all about what we already have done, and I would like to share you a little thought about what we are planning. RTAK is already open source on GitHub. You can find it, and just try. And if you found any problem or you can add any features, go ahead. We are open for everything. In last year, we created a command tool, 2 plugins for most popular platforms, and created 2 boards. Of course, we already sales the board and the solution to over 20 colleges. This year is in half. We already sell a same board and the solution into colleges in China, and it's already over 70 colleges using it to support their AI education. And we are working on a GUI version of tool, so you need not memory to remember long command line parameters. It will be easier for newcomers. And we will add more models, and we already enabled MicroPython to work together with ArtiThread and AI Kit together on our board. And we are already working on an image processing library, especially the pre-processor and the post-processor of your AI inference, which is a light version of image processor, not strong as OpenCV or this kind of things, but it is already quite useful. And the Model Zoo is ongoing. Most likely by the end of this year, it will have a lot of things, and we will publish it. Also, we are working on TensorFlow Lite micro plugin. It will open source soon once we get everything done. And the 8,000 plugin will release together with the board. Unfortunately, we can only open source the plugin itself. The underlying tools from the vendor is still their property, so we cannot open source it. And we will sell the board. And next year, we will have full toolchain, including an AI compiler, which can do the model conversion, optimizing, pruning, anything you want it to happen. And it will be open source. And we are also working for ADAS perception library with together on the BST 8000 box. If you use that library, you can quickly to start a project. So the plugin is not in my plan because we have not know which one is worth the effort to do. If you want me to add something new, just tell me. And if you have the ability to do that, that will be even better. Just join us. Support every platform is not possible by our own. We need everyone's help. And we will create a toolkit for teaching. So if you want to open a course about auto driving or other smart devices, you can use this tool. Just focus on your teaching. Okay. And of course, we expect there will be more application using it and more contributor work together with us. For the long term, we believe it will be a very interesting community. Everyone can benefit from it. If you are hardware manufacturers, your expertise of the architecture and the SoC and the tool chain can help everyone. The researchers, if you from college or from industry, you have expertise of AI and the domain knowledge of specific business, your result can help everyone. And if you are tools developer like us, our tool can get the user and get usage, and we together to help every product developer. They have application scenario and need everything to create a great product. And the better thing is everyone can make money by this interoperation. We wish we can have a supermarket like you can choose the hardware, choose the model, choose the tools to get your application done and get the benefit from it. That's my long-term plan, and that's all my shares. Thank you very much.